Asmon's take on SoD Heat 3 in the classic direction. Cool. Okay, let's actually listen to this real quick. So,
are people still playing Season of Discovery?
Me, who just logged off. Maybe I'm the only one. Maybe I'm the only one, man. Honestly,
because like, this is my opinion with it, right? Is like, the moment that I saw difficulty levels on Molten Core, I mentally checked out of the game.
Really?
I was just like, oh, okay, they're gonna do this. I don't want to play. It's not dead. I've been playing it.
Wait, why though?
Yeah.
Shoot, the clip skips. Like, for me, I'm curious as to why he thinks that. Because the difficulty levels are optional only for the sweats that want to do it. It doesn't actually give you any better loot. And there's not even like in-game achievements really. Yeah, you get more loot, but like everyone's like, looted up in a few weeks anyway. So it's like, I guess I don't really see the big downside, whereas I do see the upside. The downside to me is very minimal. It means that people who don't want to farm the fire resistant skier don't get more loot sooner, you know? Like, I feel like the downside is very, very minimal, but the upside is like pretty big because it allowed people to actually like do something novel and unique and have a new farm. Because Heat 3 isn't actually hard. It's just as easy as Heat 2 or Heat 1 if you have the gear. The fire resistance gear is the only thing that you actually need. Heat 3 is really easy. You just need the gear. You gotta put in your 30 hours of farming fire resist gear. Just how the classic was meant to be played. You farm more, you perform better. You farm your world buffs, you'll perform better. You farm your pre-bis, you'll perform better. Like, once you're actually there, it's really easy, right? So, to me, it fit the spirit of classic very well. It was optional. If you didn't want to farm that hard, you didn't actually have to. But it's there as a little extra. So I don't know. I see the upsides. The downsides seem pretty small to me. So I'm curious as to why he he's picking his nose on this freeze frame. I didn't even realize. I would be curious as to why he feels that way.
Yeah, I don't know. Heat 3 is a joke. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I just don't. How's the heat system going with MC? I'm not sure. It's just that to me, I think it's ridiculous.
Why?
It's so anti what we asked for. It's just not what I want to do in the game.
Why?
Like, I don't like multiple difficulties of content. I think it's stupid.
Okay. Why?
Like, that's just the way that I feel about it.
But why do you feel
like
that way?
it devalues the con. Why?
Okay.
Because it makes me feel like anytime that I'm not doing the hardest difficulty, then I'm wasting my time or I'm playing an inferior mode of the game. And when I am playing the hardest difficulty, it's usually not super enjoyable. And I would rather everybody just plays through the game at their own pace. And I think also, like, classic WoW, like, basically having difficulty levels in classic WoW, it just feels like the opposite of classic WoW to me. When you put something like that into the game, you change the way that people play the game. And I don't like the way that that changes the way that people play a game. It really doesn't matter. Well, it does to me. Yeah, it does to me, and I think it's the wrong direction for classic WoW to go in. And so I just stopped really playing the game. Are people...
Okay, so I think he has, I mean, we eventually got to the why, so I appreciate that. Like, one of the reasons I like Asmongold's stream is not because I agree with him on everything, but because when I disagree with him, he usually explains why. Like, this is why I like to watch Zach in general. Like, he'll say something, and then people will be like, you're an idiot, and then he'll be like, well, this is why I think that. And, like, even if I disagree, it's like, okay, well, that I can understand his thought process. I might not agree with it, but I can understand it. So yeah, basically he's saying is it's hard for him to enjoy something unless he does the hardest difficulty. And in a game like Classic WoW, it's supposed to be somewhat like easy. You're supposed to be able to eventually do the hardest stuff without like that much effort. And when you start putting difficulty levels, it fragments and splits the player base into like the sweats and the noobs, and it doesn't feel Classic WoW to him. I think that's like fair reasoning. I think that's like okay reasoning. I think that's probably the big downside of it. That's fair. Now, the upside is that you give people something to aspire to and sweats something to aspire to. I mean, hey, retail has had like the mythic and heroic systems for a long time. Now, for me, the big difference is this. On retail, yes, you have a mythic based system and a heroic based system and a normal, but they give better loot. So when you're not doing the maximal difficulty, you're actually just getting rewarded less. And I can see how you would feel that way in retail. It's like, I don't want a heroic raid. I only want a mythic raid or nothing because it feels like I'm just wasting my time. I get that. That makes sense. But for me, on classic WoW, you don't get any better loot. It's just like a fun side optional thing if you want. So for me, it makes more sense that way, practically. But I don't think Asmongold is talking practically. I think he's talking mentally. The way he views things mentally is like, it feels like I'm wasting my time if I'm not doing the highest heat level. So I guess overall, for me, I like the heat levels. I thought it was fun and novel and interesting to some degree. Maybe not like the best thing ever, but it was okay. But I can totally respect his point. I can totally respect his point there. Yeah.